Hear from Max Kaiser, who takes on propaganda, and what he says is a fight back.
Sean Hannity, ladies and gentlemen, asking serious advice from Sarah Palin. Well, some have gotten so fed up with this man that they've crowdfunded a protest. From now on, in Chicago, thousands, if not millions of people will see this every day. Almost $5,000 were raised online to put up signs pointing out what an idiot, to use their words, Sean Hannity is. I honestly happen to agree. Well, joining us in the now is Max Kaiser, host of The Kaiser Report and one of the producers of this crowdfunding project for this billboard. Max, why Sean Hannity? I mean, there are plenty of people at Fox that you could have picked on.
Well, I think Sean right now is the tip of the spear for Fox propaganda. He went over to visit Netanyahu, for example, when you saw that incredible slaughter of children on behalf of the occupiers of the Palestinian territory, shaking hands with Netanyahu, et cetera. I think that's what was the trigger point that really outraged a lot of people, that Fox News has become this shameless propagandist for the war industry in America. And having a billboard is great because it is a mass media instrument that does touch on millions of people, and it's relatively cheap considering all the people you can reach. So a crowdfunding campaign like we've done using cryptocurrencies as well, in this case Startcoin, we were able to now reach potentially millions of people with this campaign to alert people that Sean Hannity is basically a propagandist. He supports media terrorism. Rupert Murdoch is clearly a media terrorist, and so that people can get the truth. And using billboard in this way, I think will cut through the propaganda machine that is the American media, certainly at Fox.
How big is this project of yours? I mean, are we going to see this expand? I know there are plans to put up these billboards across the country, really, as far as I understand.
Right, we're going to build on the strength of this billboard and hopefully start to crowdfund some more, put them in additional cities around the United States. And Sean Fahey is the filmmaker responsible for this project. And he was able to find some talent on the StartJoin crowdfunding platform. We were able to finance it using the cryptocurrency of Startcoin. And so the community came together and they're supporting this project. And again, because the media and finance in America has come together to block the truth and to block money. You know, the problem in America finance, as we cover on the Kaiser Report, is that the central banks have made trillions of dollars available to banks, but they're not lending that money out. They're keeping it themselves and they're hoarding that cash, and there's a huge block. The money's not getting into the economy, and consequently the economy is stagnating. Same thing in the media. The truth can't get out. So using crowdfunding, crypto, we're able to get through the blockade that's blocking the truth from getting out in America. Billboards are a relatively cheap way to do that. Crowdfunding is a great way to get people participating in this. So we're hoping to alert people, again, they should be aware that there is this dangerous media terrorist, Sean Hannity, that's polluting the airwaves with warmongering, misinformation, and just outright shambolic editorialization that has no place anywhere, let alone a major media outlet like Fox.
Welcome back to Opinionated. We've just heard from Max Kaiser and his Fight Back campaign. We'll turn to Andrew Chubb. Andrew, how seriously do you take such a campaign to actually overwhelm mass propaganda?
Well, it's a really interesting phenomenon that Max points to because I don't think it's really limited to countries like America or Australia. My own particular research interest is in China, and in particular kind of warmongering propaganda that occurs within China on the issues that I study, which is the South China Sea issue.
When you say warmongering propaganda, what do you mean by that?
Well, the same kinds of things that Sean Hannity does on Fox News, the same kinds of things that we see from some sectors of the right in Australia, presumably in the UK as well, not something I've studied particularly closely. But we're basically talking about nationalist politics here, which, interestingly enough, is very much something that the Chinese Communist Party, which used to be a sort of universalist political movement that appealed to leadership of a worldwide movement to liberate humanity, has, since the 1980s, 1990s, has really moved into much more of a nationalist kind of posture, and we see similar kinds of phenomena there.
Okay, you're talking, so where's China today in comparison to the United States in the battle of wills and propaganda?
That's a really important question. China, in particular, has a very strong belief in the power of ideology. So the particular area...
As opposed to the United States of America, they don't have a belief in the power of ideology?
I think with the United States of America, the ideology has been more or less established for the last, going on 50 years. Those kinds of appeals to freedom and liberty, democracy, rights, human rights, that kind of thing, has been a fairly consistent theme for America over its, relative to China, relatively short history. On the other hand, China has traditionally been an empire where it's headed up by an emperor who has a mandate of heaven to rule over basically the known world. So no particular sort of ideological appeal. Everyone is automatically under the emperor's authority. It's just taken as a given.
Indention to the state? Are you saying that the United States and the rest of the world, Western society, we in our daily doings are not indentured to the state, that we're not working 48 weeks of the year?
No, absolutely we are. The point is that it's only relatively recently in China's history that its ruling regime has moved to that kind of footing, that kind of ideological footing, where it's appealing to citizens' sense of nationalism as the primary sort of basis for their support for their current political arrangements.
Your PhD research focuses on foreign policy management by China. What do you mean by that?
In particular, it's about how China manages public opinion on foreign policy issues, particularly contentious foreign policy issues, where the kind of propaganda techniques that they've traditionally been able to just wheel out and sort of, as we saw, from the period of 1949 through to 1980s, really, the party had more or less monopoly control over mass media.
But do you see two great powers, two great supranational powers, not just superpowers, actually contesting with each other, and that China, its propaganda is in response to American or imperialist propaganda? Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, absolutely. It's much more so than really we in the West really appreciate in general. The Chinese government, it's not something that the people talk about very much, but the Chinese government have this concept that they call public opinion warfare, which basically refers to their belief that as a communist regime, countries like the United States, and it's a fairly well-founded belief based on their experience, countries like the United States, which have a professed kind of agenda of spreading democracy throughout the world, are seeking to undermine their current political arrangements. And one of the ways that they see that happening is through the ideology of the people. So they, as far as they're concerned, and certainly this is a very widespread view among the elite in China, in particular the kind of ideological...
When you talk about the elite, we'll talk about the individuals now. There's billions of individuals, and the elite are few and far between when we do the comparator to...
Relatively small number of people concentrated in Beijing.
So is this purely a contest between the elite, and where do we play? We just saw Max Kaiser argue individual fight back. Is there a capacity for that if we go back to that question? Is there a capacity to be a dissident? Is there a capacity for a fight back? And to seriously believe that we can overwhelm the monolith that is propaganda?
So one of the really interesting aspects of this question is how being a dissident in China, as far as the regime is concerned, is equivalent to being an agent of the United States, or hostile foreign forces, as they like to refer to them. So public opinion warfare, the way it works, is the United States instills its values in Chinese people, causing them to rebel against the correct line taken by the present government.
Thank you, Andrew. We've just heard from Andrew Chubb, who we'll have back in the last segment, the final segment. Let's go to Brendan Murphy from Global Freedom Radio in Sydney. Hey, Brendan.
Hey Jerry, how you going, mate?
Good, good. Look, you've just watched a piece by Max Kaiser and his fight back. Do you take that seriously? Is there a capacity for citizen media?
Well, mate, I have to say I was having some issues on my end, so I only caught a few of the little last bits of it. The citizen fight back idea is something that appeals to me enormously. Otherwise, we wouldn't have started Global Freedom Movement Media. I think we have to choose to believe that every little thing that we do to undermine empire is important and matters, and we take every opportunity that we can to do it. The mass media is the government's propaganda arm, and it's losing more and more credibility. So I think that it's incumbent on us in the alternative media to really capitalise on that and take the bull by the horns and play off their absolutely their sort of caricature version of reality that they put out there, and really give people more and investigate things. I think we have to do it. I kind of enjoy doing it, and it's good for a laugh to sometimes propaganda that's going on from the government and what have you, and offer a remedy.
You're the co-founder of Global Freedom Radio. Tell us a little bit about Global Freedom Radio and how it challenges the system, the imperialist system or the mass media.
As you know, the whole point of the media, as we know it, the establishment media, is to inculcate the vision of reality that the so-called elite, the self-appointed sort of would-be rulers of the world, want us to believe in and invest in. So the whole point of what we're doing is to say, okay, there's that, but now here's this other guy here who you're not going to see on the 6 o'clock news, and let's put him in front of the TV screen or the computer screen, as it's the case for us, and let's hear this expert, this insider, whistleblower, whoever it is on a given night, and hear their antidote to the version of reality that's being rammed down our throats on every major news channel.
You've just heard Andrew and myself discuss a contest of wills between supranational powers. Is the battle really limited between the supranational powers, and are the rest of us just on the sidelines despite what we're doing?
You might have to rephrase that for me, actually, mate. Can you sort of elaborate?
Well, we've heard about two supranational powers. We'll call them sovereign powers that are mighty powers, economical powers, political powers, military-industrial complex, the whole bit goes with them. China and the United States, two imperialist powers. There's a contest of wills between them. But the rest of us, are we part of the game in actually having some dissidence?
Look, we are if we choose to be. The mass consciousness is really, it is gradually shifting, and it's painfully slow, but the collective human mind is gradually sort of turning. It's having an about face, really, in a sense, and every little thing that we do actually influences that. I think there was a study from 2011 that showed that it only takes 10% of a population to fervently believe something in order to create the flow-on effect spontaneously throughout the rest of the society or community. Okay. So even just by awakening ourselves.
Brendan, on that note of hope, we'll have to wrap up just then, have you back on the program once again, as we need to have all our guests back on to delve into these subjects. But thank you for that, and we'll go to a commercial break and come back.